things you mentioned is that with Bitcoin, we don't print money out of thin air because we're mining it, deflationary currency, limited
Oh, no.
supply,
One, it's not. No, none of what you said is true. That's all entirely false. Bitcoin is not deflationary at all. It is inflationary. Miners sell Bitcoin. They harm the price. They buy electricity and mining hardware. So Bitcoin's all about decentralization. But in fact, there's only 5 or 6 mining pools that do all of the mining. And there's only 3 or 4 companies that make all of the mining hardware. And those are the people that make all of the money from the mining, because the economic theory that the cost or resources allocated to extract a resource will trend towards and approach asymptotically the value of the resource. And so as the Bitcoin price ratchets up, the wasting and destroying of the environment with electricity, which you could say Bitcoin's 80% renewable, fine. I used to be a Bitcoin miner. I know exactly how much I paid for my electricity, and I know exactly how much pollution it generated. It wasn't clean energy. So, and then the idea that a decreasing inflation rate is somehow deflation is hilarious. You're getting a less inflation over time, but the value dollar cost of that inflation is higher and higher because the price keeps ratcheting up because they keep on-ramping new users. So people always, you get this backwards. You described a cost and a negative externality, which is bad for everybody, bad for the environment, bad for the price, but you think that it's actually a benefit. And so you got to know the difference between a feature, a benefit, and a cost. And Bitcoin mining is a cost that's bad for everybody, and you don't need it anymore. There's tons of proof of stake networks for years, and they've all been less attacked and more secure than proof of work networks.
And that's one of the big arguments that Bitcoin maximalists will have, is that Bitcoin is much more secure. And that is why we have proof of work. Though in the future, once we've mined
less
altcoins,
secure.
We expect to transition. What I'm curious, though, for the difference in Hex is that Hex is a proof of stake coin.
Nope.
And we do have a set inflation rate. I believe it's 3.69%. Can you tell me why have any inflation at all then if you're opposed to the mining style inflation in Bitcoin? Because you're essentially saying, hey, the cost of the shovels are going up, so it's becoming more expensive to actually operate the network rather than less expensive, which creates more waste. That's your argument. Why have any inflation then in the Hex coin?
I think we've hit the uncanny valley. So it's like Dunning-Kruger for smart people. Cryptocurrency and trading are 2 things that have very high skill caps, and then like 130 IQ guys figure that they're good at everything else, so they'll be good at this. But in reality, they're just good enough to be dangerous. So let me clarify some things. First of all, Hex is not proof of stake. It is a hybrid proof of stake, proof of work. We use proof of work on the Ethereum network for transactions, and we use proof of stake just for inflation. Because of that, it's more secure than Bitcoin. Bitcoin's had 2 inflation bugs where anyone could mint as many free coins as they want. One of them was executed on the network in 2010, and they had to roll the chain back because someone minted 184 billion extra free Bitcoin. The same bug, created in a different way, reappeared 2 years ago and was discovered, instead of being exploited, by a Bitcoin Cash developer and responsibly disclosed to the Bitcoin core development team. He could have minted as many free Bitcoin as he wanted as well. And why do we keep getting inflation bugs in Bitcoin? Because it is spaghetti code that is not modular, that has no security audits, that has no written spec, and the wallet code touches the consensus code, touches the networking code. So when you try and improve the network, oopsie, you introduce an inflation bug. It's the most common and vile bug in all of cryptocurrency. XLM has had an inflation bug. Hacker dumped it on the market. Ravencoin had a 10% inflation bug. Hacker dumped it on the market. Bitcoin, Monero, inflation bugs. AVAX, inflation bug. Bitcoin, inflation bugs. You know how you solve inflation bugs? You lock your consensus code in a contract that can never be edited or changed, which is what Hex has done, so that you can improve the network all you want and you don't accidentally introduce an inflation bug. Bitcoin.org was hacked 2 months ago.